I'm Abigail Galvan. Welcome to EWTN Pro-Life Weekly.
This case is about the Biden administration rewriting a federal law that protects a mother and child to get rid of the protections for unborn babies and force pro-life states to allow abortions in their hospitals.
Idaho defends its pro-life laws in a federal appeals court against the Department of Justice. Why there is hope the case may be withdrawn.
So we're calling for this to be ended because it's open to abuse and women are just not being kept safe.
Abortion pills via mail in the United Kingdom. One woman poisoned, thousands of others hospitalized. One organization's call to end the practice of sending chemical abortion drugs through the mail.
Even though the left has a huge majority in Parliament, it was actually a very close vote.
UK Parliament votes on assisted suicide. Pro-life leaders share their outlook on the measure.
Things do change, but I don't think it's going to change at all.
During his interview with NBC's Meet the Press with Kristen Walker, which aired on December 8th, President-elect Trump says he likely will not restrict abortion pill access. This was President-elect Trump's first televised interview since being elected the 47th president of the United States. While he has praised the overturning of Roe v. Wade and his role in placing conservative justices on the Supreme Court that led to the historic decision, he has stepped back from his once strong pro-life stance. On the campaign trail, Trump has said he would not sign a federal ban on abortion when in office. During this interview, he did not guarantee a solid stance on abortion pills, saying he didn't want to paint himself into a corner.
Will you restrict the availability of abortion pills when you're in office?
I'll probably stay with exactly what I've been saying for the last 2 years, and the answer is no.
You commit to that?
Well, I commit. I mean, do things change? I think they change. I hate to go on shows like Joe Biden. I'm not going to give my son a pardon. I will not, under any circumstances, give him a pardon. I watched this, and I always knew he was going to give him a pardon, and I don't like putting myself in a position like that. So things do change, but I don't think it's going to change at all.
Vice President-elect J.D. Vance has similarly said that he would not work to ban abortion pills and reiterated it should be left up to the states.
The federal government cannot preempt state law by paying private parties to violate it. EMTALA mandates that doctors care for a pregnant mother's unborn child, undercutting any argument that EMTALA mandates abortion.
Oral arguments heard in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals on Tuesday on Idaho's pro-life law. The Biden administration sued Idaho 2 years ago, contending that the law violates the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, or EMTALA. The Department of Health and Human Services reinterpreted EMTALA to require emergency room doctors to perform abortions, despite the fact that the law never mentions abortion. The Biden administration used the reinterpretation to challenge Idaho's Defense of Life Act. The Department of Justice contends that Idaho's state law prevents doctors from performing abortions that save their patients from serious infections, organ loss, or other major medical issues. But the state of Idaho argues that those claims are false and that both EMTALA and Idaho's pro-life laws protect mothers and their unborn children.
Idaho's law allows a doctor, in his or her good faith judgment, to terminate a pregnancy if that's necessary to save the woman's life.
A decision on this case is expected in the next several months. There is a possibility that the DOJ may withdraw the lawsuit when they are led by a new presidential administration in January.
The problem with this is it is massively open to abuse, which we warned about before the law came in and we have now seen happening.
The Right to Life UK is calling for an end to dispensing abortion pills through the mail. It comes after a man was convicted on December 6th of poisoning a woman with abortion drugs 2 years ago. 40-year-old Stuart Werby of Norfolk was jailed for 12 years of sexually assaulting a woman and giving her abortion pills to kill her baby. Prosecutors say he gave her the drug mifepristone in a glass of orange juice, and the next day gave her misoprostol, the second drug used to abort a baby. The woman lost her 15-week-old baby within hours of the assault in the summer of 2022. She has been unable to conceive. The abortion pills were provided by the fourth largest private abortion provider in the UK, the Janney Centre, which Right to Life UK says sends abortion pills without in-person consultations with a medical professional.
We do know as well that I think it was between 2021 and 2022, shortly after the Pills by Post scheme was brought in, over 10,000 women received hospital treatment as a result of complications from these abortion pills. And 10,000 is just a massive number, and that should be causing alarm bells.
Madeline Page's data comes from a Freedom of Information investigation. This year, 52 members of parliament, or MPs, tabled an amendment that would have ended the distribution of at-home abortion pills. Assisted suicide in the United Kingdom is one step closer to becoming legal. Over the Thanksgiving holiday, British lawmakers in the House of Commons approved a bill that would allow terminally ill adults with fewer than 6 months to live to end their lives in England and Wales. Even though this is the first time a bill like this has come this far in Parliament, pro-life groups are hopeful that it will be defeated in the next reading.
The vote was quite close. We have a huge parliament of about 650 people in the House of Commons. So it passed by about 55 votes, which was a fairly narrow margin.
We only need to win 28 MPs to our side for it to fall. And already about 36 MPs who did vote for it at this initial stage said that they only did so to continue the vote, to continue the debate, and that they have quite a lot of concerns about the safeguards in the bill in particular. So they said if those are not addressed, then they will vote against the bill.
Bishop John Sherrington, Auxiliary Bishop of Westminster, released a statement following the vote, saying in part, quote, "We have expressed the view during this debate that genuine compassion involves walking with those who need care, especially during sickness, disability, and old age. We ask the Catholic community to pray that members of Parliament will have the wisdom to reject this bill at a later stage in its progress," unquote. The assisted dying bill still faces many more months of debate by members of Parliament before it goes to a final vote. In Canada, where assisted suicide laws are some of the most liberal, one province is looking to make reforms to the so-called medical aid in dying law. Currently, the medical aid in dying law allows mentally competent adults with grievous and irremediable medical conditions to request assisted suicide. It has expanded to allow those with severe disabilities to ask for it as well. Possible changes for the province of Alberta could include a public agency to oversee the MAID process, opportunities for family members to contest an approved plan to die, and provincial limits on MAID eligibility that differs from the federal government. The Alberta government is running a public consultation until December 20th that gives Albertans a chance to fill out a survey on the MAID laws. The government will also be consulting with experts on the field on potential reforms. The Canadian Conference of Catholic Bishops has spoken out against the assisted suicide laws in Canada. So have individual bishops and archbishops, including Archbishop Francis Leo of the Diocese of Toronto. The archbishop was just made a cardinal at the most recent consistory of the Vatican. 53-year-old Cardinal Frank Leo is one of the youngest new cardinals and the only one of the 21 newly created cardinals from North America. Cardinal Leo sat down with EWTN News President Montse Alvarado to discuss the disturbing trend of assisted suicide in Canada. Take a look.
You mentioned the young at heart, who, particularly in today's age, are really the most vulnerable with the rising trends of euthanasia and medical aid in dying as a euphemism, I would say, for doctor-assisted suicide. How is the church countering this movement, and how can the church continue to give us a renewed understanding of the value of the elderly and the older generations?
You make a great point, absolutely. It is a travesty, honestly, that euthanasia is going strong, unfortunately, in different parts of the country more than others. Not only legalized, but being promoted. Mm-hmm. And assisted suicide, euthanasia, medical aid in dying, as you say, it's a travesty, should never have taken place. We fought tooth and nail, the Conference of Catholic Bishops, what we're doing right now is we are helping people to realize that the only alternative is palliative care. So there is a wonderful program that through the Conference of Bishops a few years ago that we're promoting, Horizons of Hope, that for many reasons euthanasia and assisted suicide is not the answer. The Lord has come that we might have life and life in abundance, John 10:10, one of my favorite passages. To live life abundantly here while we journey on earth, and then enter into eternal life, the abundant life in heaven. But as we are here, amidst the temptations that are around us, we must keep firm in our faith, proclaiming the gospel of life and the civilization of love, which is both at the beginning of life in the womb and the end of life when people are so vulnerable and are tempted to suicide. We need to be close, and so we're encouraging our communities to set up groups in the parish to help people understand the evils of euthanasia and assisted suicide and the benefits of palliative care, and but with an even larger context of life and the gift of life. And we have so many instances here. We have the Sisters of Life, mm-hmm. for example, who are a wonderful blessing in the Archdiocese. And many other groups and associations, religious orders that are promoting life very much. And so we have this program, and we're trying to, here in the Archdiocese of Toronto, promote more and more palliative care, a sense of the sacredness of life. It's always a challenge because the culture, right, is not very welcoming to that. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't scare us at all. But it is a challenge, and one to which we are engaged in, and with the strength of and the insights of the Holy Spirit, I think we will definitely do our best. And I've already I've heard stories of people who, because someone went to their deathbed, and someone spoke to them about faith and about the love of God, they changed their mind, you know. And that's what we're called to do, to ministers of the Lord, of the new covenant, and of life.
To help people learn and understand and form their consciences and their hearts so that they realize what it really means when you end someone's life by coercion or even that passive.
Yeah. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not kill, starting with yourself.
Yeah.
And we worship the Lord of life, and He is the Lord of life and death. And so I think these are crucial issues that speak to the core of our Christian faith. And so we will continue to celebrate life, to promote life, and these life-giving issues like palliative care. And just this past summer, we had the Conference of Bishops in the Archdiocese of Toronto, in conjunction with the Pontifical Academy for Life, had a wonderful international interfaith symposium on palliative care.
Yes.
And we're looking forward to the fruits of that, how to strengthen the Church's proclamation of the gospel of life, and encourage people to understand and the giftedness of life, the sacredness of life given by God. And so the challenge is there, but we're up to it.
Yeah, you're taking proactive steps, which I think is what we want to see from the church.
Yeah.
Another newly named cardinal is Archbishop Tarcisius Iso Kikuchi of the Archdiocese of Tokyo. The 65-year-old sat down with EWTN Vatican Bureau correspondent Colin Flynn before he received his new title to talk about some of the life issues impacting Japan today.
Archbishop Iso Kikuchi, it is great to meet you, and thank you so much for doing this interview.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Let's talk a bit about the beautiful and fascinating country, your home country of Japan. What is it like in society today? I know the problems in Japan that you've been speaking out against before in the last number of years. For example, the population decline and the birth rate has been completely dropping off. Is that still the case today?
I think so. Immediately after the Second World War, there was what they call baby boom.
Boom, yeah.
So the number of the people increased, but they just became old, aged. So the society right now is an aged society without the young kids. And the birth rate is going down, still going down. So we're really worried about, because in the future, what will happen then on the old people in the society and no young people, then how to maintain the structure of the society is a big problem right now in Japan.
And I know that the government have even been trying to, or they have been implementing financial encouragements to people, so that there are incentives there to help people financially, but it just doesn't seem to work.
I think the one problem is the urbanization of the society. The people are leaving the farming the villages or farming areas, coming to the big cities like in Tokyo, or there are many big cities in Japan. So urbanization destroys the traditional family system. People are just living in the condominiums or apartments, and there is no community life in the area. There used to be the communities in the villages and towns, and then that community is also based on the family system. But family system really has been destroyed in Japan, and that is really causing, because people are isolated and they don't support each other.
I've heard you say before that people in society are becoming selfish.
Interest of the people is really shifted to the economic purposes, wealth, to accumulating the wealth. So in that way, they don't think about the real the foundation of the life, which is a spiritual life.
And when you talk about that lack of spirituality or declining sense of spirituality among people in Japan, what's the knock-on effect of that? What's the result?
You see, Japanese people are really religious people. If you go to Japan, you definitely see the Shinto shrine, Buddhist temples. There are plenty of them. They're all over the Japan. Whenever you go, you see the Shinto shrine and Buddhist temples. But the Christianity requires commitment. Like every Sunday, you have to come to the Mass. But in the Shinto or the Buddhist temple, you don't have to do that. It's just a part of your life. Whenever you have the problem, you go to the Shinto shrine or the Buddhist temple for the prayer. When you need a blessing, you go to the Shinto shrine or temple for the blessings. But then Christianity is completely vice versa, and different way, that you have to commit yourself. Your life has to be committed to the Christianity. And that is the biggest difference. They don't want to commit themselves to the Christianity. So that's why the Christianity is still the minority in Japan.
And I've been reading in the news about increasing rates of anxiety and depression. I was shocked a few years ago when I saw a documentary about the levels of suicide in Japan.
It started in late 1990s. Up until beginning of the 1990s, the economy was there was economic boom, and the economy was growing, and then suddenly everything collapsed. And so the economy just went straight down to the bottom. And that was the beginning of the depression among the people. The society itself has been depressed. So that really affected the people, because up until that time, their aim of the life is to get the wealth, to be developed. Yeah. But now that goal has gone, that just disappeared. So they don't know what to do. That's why they started to search for the meaning of the life. But it's very difficult to find the meaning of the life because they already lost it. during the economic development. So I think that is the main reason why people are just disappointed with their life and commit suicide. So it has been like that for past 20 whatever years. That it is now stable, but still many young people commit suicide because they can't see the future, bright future.
Archbishop Kikochi of Tokyo and Cardinal-elect, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
The Tokyo government recently announced that it will be giving workers a 4-day work week in hopes of boosting fertility rates and family time. In June, Japan's fertility rate reached a record low. The city of Tokyo also announced that parents with children in the 1st through 3rd grade can trade off some of their salary for the option to clock out early. The new option is set to begin in April. A pro-life hero was recently laid to rest in New York City. Msgr Philip Reilly was devoted to counseling distraught women on the street and training hundreds of others to do the same to save lives. He founded the Helpers of God's Precious Infants in 1989 while serving as a chaplain at a Brooklyn monastery. The organization is committed to praying outside abortion mills for the souls of the babies and offers support for women who change their minds and choose life. Helpers of God's Precious Infants are now active in 45 states and in 30 countries, including Canada, England, and Australia. Msgr Reilly trained hundreds of pro-lifers, including David B. Wright, founder of 40 Days for Life.
I am so thankful for the example he provided, the guidance, the mentorship that he gave to us, the encouragement to our community, the foundational principles of prayer and love and compassion. And honestly, I look back and I say, I don't believe there would have been a 40 Days for Life. I don't believe I would have been able to stay long-term in the pro-life movement were it not for the example of Msgr Philip Reilly.
Msgr Reilly was also one of the original organizers of the March for Life in Washington, D.C. Msgr Reilly passed away on November 30th, and his funeral was held on December 9th. We want to thank him for his witness to life. Coming up, special honors for our Blessed Mother, plus the latest pro-life messages from Pope Francis. The Holy Father has long defended the right to life and spoken out about many other pro-life issues during his papacy. We share some of his most memorable messages next on EWTN Pro-Life Weekly. Stay tuned. A standing ovation for the firefighters and builders who helped save and restore Notre Dame in Paris, France, after it was ravaged by fire more than 5 years ago. Some 1,500 people, including nearly 40 heads of state, took part in the opening ceremony on December 7. Its reconstruction is a symbol of hope and resilience. In a letter to the Archbishop of Paris, Pope Francis wrote that he hopes the reopening is a sign of the renewal of the Church in France. We here at Pro-Life Weekly certainly pray for a revival of the faith in the Church's eldest daughter. December 12th is the feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe, a patron not only of the Americas, but of the pro-life movement. In 1999, Pope St. John Paul II established the 12th as the feast day for Our Lady, declaring, "This is our cry, life with dignity for all." for all who have been conceived in their mother's womb, for street children, for Guadalupe. In 2018, Pope Francis entrusted Our Lady of Guadalupe to, quote, in particular, those who are awaiting the birth of their children. The image of Our Lady of Guadalupe left on the tilma worn by St. Juan Diego is housed at the basilica named after her in Mexico City. It is visited by some 20 million pilgrims every year, of which about 9 million do so near her feast day. Our Lady of Guadalupe, pray for us. On Tuesday, Pope Francis will celebrate his 88th birthday. He was born in Buenos Aires on December 17, 1936. In honor of the Holy Father's big day, we wanted to reflect on his beautiful advocacy for life throughout his papacy. We take a look at some of his most memorable moments, standing up for the unborn and addressing other often overlooked pro-life issues.
È licito, è giusto.
I ask, is it licit? Is it right to eliminate a human life to resolve a problem?
Umana per risolvere un problema.
It's a human life. That's science. The moral question is whether it is right to take a human life to solve a problem. Indeed, is it right to hire a hitman to solve a problem?
Hiring a hitman. Those strong words from the Holy Father on the practice of abortion. Pope Francis has long defended the right to life throughout his papacy, speaking out for those who can't speak for themselves, from conception until natural death, upholding Catholic teaching. It reads in the Catechism, human life is sacred. No one can under any circumstance claim for himself the right directly to destroy an innocent human being. Francis has never backed down from standing up for life, likening abortion to the work of the mafia.
L'aborto non è un male minore.
Abortion is not the lesser evil. It is a crime. You throw someone out to save another. That's what the mafia does. It is a crime, an absolute evil.
È un male assoluto.
Back in September, the Holy Father spoke to reporters during his return trip from his apostolic journey to Southeast Asia, reiterating the Church's stance on abortion.
Un assassinio. È un assassinio.
I deem deplorable the practice of so-called surrogate motherhood, which represents a grave violation of the dignity of the woman and the child.
Vita è una cosa brutta.
Continuing his advocacy for human life in the womb, in January, Pope Francis called for a worldwide ban on surrogacy, saying the practice exploits the child as an object of trafficking.
I deem deplorable the practice of so-called surrogate motherhood, which represents a grave violation of the dignity of the woman and the child.
Pope Francis has spoken out about other pro-life issues outside of the womb, addressing so-called gender theory in January. Francis calls it extremely dangerous.
Perché cancella le differenze.
It cancels differences in its claim to make everyone equal. These instances of ideological colonization prove injurious and create divisions between states rather than fostering peace.
Anziché favorire l'edificazione della pace.
The Holy Father also wrote about capital punishments this year in the preface of a book called A Christian on Death Row, My Commitment to Those Condemned, warning that it fosters a cycle of revenge in society and has called for efforts to abolish it. The Holy Father wrote that governments should, quote, focus on allowing prisoners the opportunity to truly change their lives, rather than investing money and resources in their execution. We must never think that there could be a sin, a mistake, or an action of ours that distances us permanently from the Lord. His heart has already been crucified for us. And in May, Pope Francis wrote about two topics that are often overlooked in our secular society: openness to children and parenthood. The Holy Father wrote about these issues in the Bull of Indiction of the Ordinary Jubilee of the year 2025, an official papal document announcing the dates of the beginning and end of this holy year. Francis said, quote, "Openness to life and responsible parenthood is the design that the Creator has implanted in the hearts and bodies of men and women. The desire of young people to give birth to new sons and daughters as a sign of the fruitfulness of their love ensures a future for every society." We look forward to Pope Francis's continued advocacy for life. You yourself can be an advocate for life by taking part in the largest public witness for life in January. The March for Life kicks off on January 24. If you can't make it to Washington, D.C., don't worry. EWTN has you covered with live coverage of the rally and march starting at 9:30 a.m. We'll bring you exclusive interviews and on-the-ground coverage of the entire event. That does it for this edition of EWTN Pro-Life Weekly. Be sure to like and follow us on our social media channels. You can find us at EWTN Pro-Life on X, Facebook, and Instagram, and sign up for our newsletter, The Pro-Life Pulse, EWTN.com/pro-life. Remember, life is a gift. Your life is a gift. God bless.